Hey guys, happy Monday. Reminder to be good for the sub. Do what you're supposed to. Today we are going to be working on solving multi-step equations, and then there's just a couple of story problems to try on the back. So we're gonna do more in-depth story problems tomorrow. So to start with, your self-start, and as you're watching this, just pause the video, do it, and then resume the video. If negative 10 times a number is less than 50, what could the numbers be? Negative 10 times a number is less than 50. There's your equation. So story problem practice. This is kind of our first one. Negative 10 times a number less than 50. To solve it, we divide both sides by negative 10. Get to a divide sign. Divide by negative 10. And do it on both sides. And I get x is, I divided by negative, so I flip the sign, greater than 50. Our second story problem practice, and this is just the two introduction ones today. To rent a jet ski, you must pay a one-time fee of $50 and then pay $32.50 each hour. You want to spend at most, so that's the max. At most, that means the maximum you can spend is $180. But if it's the maximum you can spend, then you could actually spend $180. So it'd be greater than or equal to $180. So this is at most $180. So then to solve it, we minus the 50 from both sides. Which gives us the 50 gone, and then we have that. And 180 minus 50 is 130. And then we divide both sides by 32.50. And we do it over here as well. And we get x is less than or equal to, take my calculator, type in 130 divided by 32.50, and I get 4. Okay, our mean. Now that the Grand Canyon is closed, the dinosaurs felt like it's safe for them to come out. The dinosaur hanging out the Grand Canyon with me. Reminder that late work is due Friday, and please be good for the sub. Today we've reviewed the self-start. We're going to do multi-step inequalities and just the introduction to story problems with the bell work. Things to remember about inequalities. Today is practice. Write the inequality first, then solve it. Show your work, and your answer cannot just say 4. You must have x is greater than 4, x is less than 4, or something along those lines. If it's an inequality problem, your answer must have an inequality. Next, all inequality problems can be solved like equations, but there are some exceptions as we're doing these. First, you must flip the sign if you multiply or divide by a negative. You have to include a variable and the inequality symbol, and it's better to have the variable on the left. If you move the variable on the left, change the inequality sign. For example, 2 is less than x is the same thing as x is greater than 2 because you move the variable. You can move the variable at the end of the problem or at the beginning of the problem. So let's just review some of the multi-step things. The first one is combining like terms. We're going to put our two x's together. So right now, this one and this one are both x's. So I'm going to put them together. So I'm going to combine these two together. So to combine them together, I do 6x minus 2x, and that gives me 4x. Minus 7 is greater than 17. I apologize for the mouse writing. So then I'm going to add 7 here. I'm going to add 7 here. And at this point, it's just a two-step, which you guys are super experts at. Gives me 4x is greater than 24. And divide by 4. And I'm... Oh, hang on. Divide by 4 here, divide by 4 here, and I get x is greater than 6. And I apologize for the handwriting with the mouse. I couldn't get my camera to work today. Okay, for distribution, you're going to do the rainbow. So to do the rainbow, we times it here and we times it here. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6x. Negative 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Is greater than negative 12. Next, I add 12 to both sides. At this point, it's a two-step. You guys know two steps. Add 12 here. Add 12 here. And I'm going to switch to typing because I think it's going to be easier. To see. So that gives me negative 6x is greater than 0. I divide by negative 6. Here. And I have to do the same thing over here, which gives me x and 0. I divided by a negative, so that greater than becomes a less than. Okay, our third one is fractions along division. I call it the long divide. So the first thing, you'll notice everything is being divided by 2. So my first step is going to be to times by 2. Oh, that was a really good time sign, times by 2. So that just gets rid of that fraction and makes it a nice, pretty two-step equation. From there, I can minus the 4 from both sides. Gives me 3x is greater than or equal to negative 26. Now I'm kind of sad here because I know it's going to come out pretty. And some of you are really going to want to put negative 8.7 or negative 8.6666 or negative 8.6 repeating or something along those lines. And that is fine. The better answer we're working towards is improper fractions. You can just leave it as negative 26/3. You do not have to make that a decimal. If you make it a decimal, it's not wrong, but we like the fraction better. Okay, here's some of your homework problems. If you're watching this video at this point, congratulations, I'm about to do homework for you. Start writing with me. 0.8x. If we're adding a negative, the opposite of that would be to minus a negative, or some students will just say plus, because that's the same thing. So minus negative, which is the same thing as plusing 8, which gives me 0.8x equals 8. And then I'm going to divide by 0.8. Do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. And that gives me x here. Did not divide by any negatives, so there's no need to flip. 8 divided by 0.8 is 10. X is less than 10 is your answer. Okay. Homework problem D continued. Oh, we got to distribute a fraction. I'm going to just remind you with we're going to do the rainbow times here and times here. Let me switch back over to the pen. All right, well, let me switch to the pen, so we'll just keep drawing. Okay, 1/2 times negative 2 is negative x. 1/2 times negative 7 is negative 7/2. Is greater than 3/4. So then I add 7/2 to both sides. Add 7/2 here. Add 7/2 here. And then I have a negative x is greater than, type into my calculator, 3/4 plus 7/2. Now my calculator by default gives me a mixed number. Go ahead and write down that mixed number. I'm not a fan of mixed numbers, but that's what your calculator is going to give by default, so we'll let you get away with it today. Divide by that negative. You can put a -1 if it's helpful. Gives me x. I divided by a negative, so this greater than becomes a less than. Negative 4 1/4. Better answer, improper fraction, would be x is less than negative 17/4. And if you're an expert on your calculator, you can watch the video that says teaches you how to do it. You can hit second ABC, and that will give you the improper fraction. Okay. Problem D. Oh, we've got the variables going on the right. We've got to combine some like terms here. And so let's get started by first, I'm going to combine like terms. So I want to put these two together. 2.4 minus the 3.5. Hey, I just forgot how to do that. Okay, that gives me the negative 1/4 here is less than or equal to, and then 2.4 minus 3.5 is negative 1.1 x plus 10. So my next step is I'm going to minus a 10 from both sides. So I minus a 10 here, and I minus a 10 here. Negative 1/4 minus 10 is negative 10 and 1/4, or not a fan of the mixed number, but I'm just gonna leave it as a mixed number for today because it's you could hit second ABC to make it not mixed if you wanted. So then we can divide by the negative 1.1. We have to do that on both sides. And that gives us a really long decimal. So when I type that in my calculator said negative, said 9.31818181818 is, oh, I divided by a negative right here. So this less than becomes a greater than. Okay, because I divided by a negative, this less than turned into a greater than. We don't like the variable on the left, so we're going to move it to, or on the right, so we're going to move it to the left, so that's going to become an x. Then we're going to switch back to this sign. And then I could put that decimal, but if you hit second PRB on your calculator, it will make it a mixed number. And the mixed number is much easier to write, 9 and 7/22. And if you hit second ABC, it will make it an improper fraction, which is an even better answer of 205/22. So to get from a decimal to this, I hit second ABC, excuse me, second PRB. It's just right by it's diagonal from your second button. And then to get here, I hit second ABC. And that is your best answer. Okay, so kind of tricky ones. You got this. You can do it. Keep working hard. When you get done, I want you to try the story problems on the back. We're going to do more instruction on story problems tomorrow. But I want you just to try the ones on the back if you get done with the ones on the front. Have a good day.